All right, welcome to Championship Sports Blog. I'm your host Chandler. Today we have a special guest here, a former TNA World Champion, United States Champion in the WWE, Money in the Bank winner, and been looking forward to this a lot. Here he is, Mr. Ken Anderson.
How you
Welcome.
doing, Chandler?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get into it here. And first question I got for you is as a Packers fan myself, you're from Green Bay, Wisconsin. What is your
Yep.
favorite memory as a Packers fan?
Favorite memory was, I think it was like 1996. I was at my first game, and it might have been earlier. Actually, it might have been like 90, 93, 94. And Green Bay was playing the Steelers, and we had a chance at getting a wild card spot. I believe we had to beat the Steelers, and it came down to the very last drive. Packers were slightly ahead. Steelers needed to score a touchdown in order to win, but they were on the drive, and it was a fairly good team at the time. And I remember I was sitting right. We were on about the 50-yard line, and Yancey Thigpen was wide open in the back of the end zone, and he got hit like right in the numbers. So it looked like he was going to catch, and he dropped it. And the place just right from the spot of where that play occurred, you could see just this sea of people, the entire bowl start doing the wave, and it erupted. And we ended up, we won the game. It was a great first experience. And I was frozen to the core. It was, I remember my feet just being so cold the entire time. I didn't plan accordingly. But I
Right.
always have you been to games at
Oh yes,
Lambeau?
sir. I actually was not in Lambeau. I went to my first NFL game a few months ago. I went to the Dallas Cowboys game at AT&T Stadium against Green Bay, where they tied, and that
Yep.
was incredible.
You have to. Where do you live?
I live in Arkansas, actually.
You have to go to a Packers game at Lambeau Field. It just has to be done.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna plan on getting that done very soon.
And
It's an incredible experience, I'm sure.
it's got to be like a snow game. It's got
Heard
to be
that.
one where you're kind of miserable.
Classic
Those are the
Lambo.
most fun. Yep.
All right, the next question I got for you is what made you want to become a professional wrestler?
That's a good question. What made me want to fall down for a living and destroy my body? Uh, I was always somebody drawn to like the entertainment field. I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. Like I remember as a kid seeing ET in the theater with my mom for the first time, and I was like, how do I want to do that? How do I do that? And she was like, yeah, it's really, really difficult to, you have to live in LA and you have to know the right people. And so I just kind of always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. I never liked wrestling as a kid. I thought it was
Really?
stupid. I actually thought it was dumb.
Wow.
And I was about 20. I was like 20 years old when I first got hooked. And it was a friend of mine kind of forced the issue, made me watch. And I saw Steve Austin and saw the way that he did his thing. And I was like, okay, that guy's cool. And then I started watching just so that I could see what he would do every week. And then
Right.
I got sucked into, well, okay, Undertaker, he's pretty cool too. And The Rock was pretty cool. And then slowly but surely I got sucked into all the storylines. And before you know it, that's all anybody would talk about. At the time, wrestling was super, super popular. It was
Oh yeah.
everywhere. Wrestlers were all over the cover of magazines, and TV Guide had, I remember they had like 4 separate issues that came out in the same week. And it was like Mankind, Jericho, The Rock, Austin. They were like collector's issues. And it just became such a huge thing. And I never in a million years even thought, how do these guys do this stuff? I was at a party one night, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, my mom works with somebody who's going to she's going to wrestling school. He's learning how to wrestle." And I was like, "Wait, you can actually do this stuff?" And I went home and I looked up wrestling schools on the internet, and I found one, reached out to him, and a couple days later I got a call back. And it was just when I went in for a tryout. So I paid $175 to go in and do. They showed me the ropes, how to run the ropes, how to take a couple bumps, and I was just in love with it, and I was just in awe. And it was a terrible ring. This ring was like 16 by 16. It was a low rider, so it was like only a foot and a half off the ground. It was all,
Oh, wow.
there was duct tape all over the canvas, and the ropes weren't very tight. They were kind of saggy, and I just remember like, this is awesome. And I realized that it was a blend of all the things that I loved. It was the athleticism, it was a little sports, it was a little acting, and I knew right then and there, this is what I want to do.
Wow, that's incredible. And now you have your own school. If people want to learn how to become a professional wrestler with the academy, so that's probably incredible that you get to do that for other people now and give them that same experience. So I've read before that before you went to OVW, that Jeff Jarrett was trying to get you signed to TNA around that time. Is there any truth to that?
So I had bumped into Jeff at a TNA show, and at the time, everybody would go out to. There was this bar. It was called Bar Nashville, because the tapings were occurring in Nashville, Tennessee,
Right.
and everybody went out, and Jeff happened to be there, and I happened to strike up a conversation with him, and he had seen my match from that night, and he had seen me around because I had done some other extra work for them, and he's like, I like your stuff, I like your look, and he gave me his number, and said, get in touch with me, we'll figure something out. And I just could never get in touch with him. It was one of those situations where I kept calling him, and it wasn't anything, I don't think, personal. It was just, that's just the way the business goes, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
Paul Heyman did the same thing to me. Call me, and I'd call him every day or every Wednesday for like 2 years, and but then eventually, there came a time where we crossed paths professionally, and he was able to go to bat for me. He did.
Right. Wow, that would have been definitely a change in trajectory of history. You go to TNA. What year is this around when he was talking to you? Around like 2002, maybe?
Yeah, 2003. It was right when TNA was still doing the Wednesday night. When they first started, they were doing Wednesday night pay-per-views.
Weekly pay-per-views, yeah.
Yeah, it was during that time period.
Wow. Yeah, that would
And
have
you
been
say that
crazy.
it might have changed the trajectory, but we might not be having this discussion. Like, things
Right.
might not have. It turns out I'm pretty happy with the way that things happened.
Oh yeah, for
As
sure.
much as I wanted to be, I wanted that contract. I wanted it now. I didn't want to wait any longer. When I actually got my contract, I was happy that it had taken as long as it did. And it was
Right.
necessary. I wouldn't have been as good as I was and ready to go had I gotten an opportunity earlier.
Heard that. So in OVW, what was it like working with Paul Heyman?
Man,
And I know you got to
Paul was
wrestle CM
so.
Punk in a title match.
Yep, and that was that didn't occur until after I was already up on the road for WWE. I was working the full schedule already. So
Heard that.
working for Paul, because Punk came in after I got up on the road. Paul came in and said, you're the next. He pulled me aside his very first day there. He said, I remember it was just the two of us in the office, and he said, you're the next guy out of here. I'm going to do so much stuff with you. on TV. And remember, I had said earlier that Paul had told me, call me. And then I could never get in touch with him. And I didn't know how to take that at the time, but it turns out that he said, I'm a fan of yours. I've been paying attention to what you've done here. I liked what I saw the first day that, because he had seen me working out in the ring with some of the guys, some of the other extras. And he just said, like, we're going to do so much stuff over the course of the next few weeks that The Office, because at the time, The Office was watching OVW television because OVW was their farm system, it was their feeder system. So they were constantly checking it to make sure, like, to see who's the next guy, who do we need to pull up. And within 5 weeks, I got a call from Tommy Dreamer saying, hey, they want to see you at SmackDown this week, and they want you to do your gimmick. And I think the first 2 weeks under Paul Heyman, I wasn't doing the announcer thing yet. I wasn't saying my last name. And on the third week, he said, go out, cut the ring announcer off, cuss him out, dress him down, and then you do your own introduction. And he sort of like this, and he sort of did what I do today.
Yeah.
And then I went out and I did it. And like I said, when Dreamer called me, he was like, they want to see that gimmick too.
Yeah, that's a genius idea. And you had that in your bag of tricks from doing announcing for a basketball game back in the day, right?
I did.
Saying your last name twice.
Yeah. Yeah. So stupid.
That's awesome.
It really is
awesome,
crazy that you never know what's going to be the thing that's going to take you there.
Right. Could be anything. Fans latch on to stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's just crazy. Like, just keep trying things. Sometimes like students will come and say, hey, I want to try this. And to me, instantly, I'm like, that sounds stupid to me. But I never went, okay, try it. Because you never know. That like there are tons of it. I think there are tons of gimmicks, and I can't name any off the top of my head right now, but like there's tons of gimmicks throughout history where you see it for the first time and you go like, no. And like the Eugene, right? Like the first time I saw Eugene, I was like, come on. And then, oh, this works. There's something here. Like,
oh yeah, that's a credit to Nick Dinsmore too. He made that work for what it was,
And the crazy thing about Nick Dinsmore is he's like a wrestling god. He can
That's what people say.
Circles. He can work circles around anybody. He's like a technician.
Wow.
You think of like Finley and Regal, and like he's up there. Daniel Bryan, like he could go. And when he started doing the Eugene character, he stopped. He was like, would Eugene do that? Would he do flying head scissors and scissors takeovers? And no, he just worked to the gimmick. It's amazing.
That is amazing. So when you first got onto the main roster on SmackDown in 2005, you work your first pay-per-view at No Mercy 2005, and the match you had there was against Hardcore Holly, Bob Holly. Do you have any memories working with him or any backstage memories with Bob Holly?
When I got there, Bob was the litmus. He was the test. If you can work with Bob, if you come out unscathed, you're okay. Bob was not very giving to the younger talent. Like he was very like protective of the business and protective of the locker room, I would say. Mm-hmm. And he'd come off as very grumpy. I remember the first time I worked with him, I happened to see because you get to the building and you look at, there's a sheet taped to the wall, a run sheet of what the show's going to be, right? And I saw like Kennedy versus Holly. And so okay, here we go. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, what would you like to do tonight? And he goes, we're gonna fucking work.
Oh man. That's hilarious.
I'm sorry, can I swear on here? Like, is that?
Oh, absolutely. You say whatever
Okay.
you want, man.
He goes, we're gonna fucking work. That's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna sit here and call. We're not gonna call a bunch of spots. We're gonna fucking go out there and work and just listen. I went, oh, yes, sir. And we went out and had a great match. And I listened well. I did exactly what I was told. And then when it was my turn to bring it, I brought it. I wasn't, I didn't shy away from him.
Right.
I remember one time he and this was something that I sort of planned. Sorry, my computer got unplugged here
Oh, no
for a
worries,
second.
man.
I remember this is something that I thought of ahead of time because he'd like to do chops, and so he would have me. He would say, "Give me 2 chops," and then he'd spin me around and light me up. And I just said, "Duck." I gave him a chop because he told me to. He said, "Give me a chop," and I gave him one. And then I just said, "Duck this. Give me 10." And I, like taking 10 chops from Bob Holly is not he lays them in,
Oh,
and it was
I've
like
seen it.
that kind of stuff where he knew that I wasn't going to be a wimp.
Right. I mean, we've all seen what he did to Daniel Puder at the Royal Rumble, laying him in. Everybody always had that thought process with Holly, like he's gonna lay it in on the rookies for sure.
Yeah, and he had that little row with Matt Capitelli too on Tough
Oh my
Enough.
God, yes, man, he beat the crap out of that guy.
Yeah.
Oh man. My next question for you. So in 2005, you also had the honor of wrestling Eddie Guerrero in his last match he ever had. What was your relationship like with Eddie Guerrero, and how was that match for you working with him?
Well, first of all, it's awful, right? I hate that Eddie's gone, but it is an amazing honor that I'm the last guy that wrestled him. Like, no,
Right.
nobody else can say that, like that's insane. But we had a great relationship backstage. He was super giving. I was very, very new to the company. But every match that I had, I'd come back through the curtain and Eddie would be there and have some piece of advice. And it was always really good stuff too. It was like little, I always tell my students that it's the small things that we do. Nobody cares about moves, and as weird as that sounds, right? Wrestling isn't about the moves. It's about the little things that we do in between the moves.
Right.
Yeah. He always had just the best advice. So, and I was riding with him at the time when he passed. So I got a lot of great memories with him.
That's awesome, man. Eddie's once in a lifetime talent for sure. I also was going to ask you, how was it winning your first championship in the WWE? That would be the United States Championship, and what are your memories of that?
That's my job.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, like at the time, I really, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing, and it's just the writing team. Dave Lagana came to me and said, we're going to put a title on you, and okay, cool. I'm going to try to do that to the best of my ability and carry that title. And there's some part of you that, the title is a prop that we use.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody wrote on a piece of paper that Ken Kennedy was going to win that title. It's not like a genuine, legit competition, but there is competition in the back amongst the boys. You want to try to be as good as you possibly can be. So in that regard, it is the company is putting their stamp of approval on you. So that's a positive thing, right?
Right.
But I always try to not, you can't get too big ahead about stuff like that. It's like,
right.
At the end of the day, David Arquette was the champ.
Yeah. So I assume you feel the same way about your Money in the Bank win and your TNA World Heavyweight title win.
Yeah, it's it's great. I'm proud of it. I'm happy about it. But yeah, it's just that was my job at the time, and
Right.
so when I had the Money in the Bank briefcase, I knew that it could be taken away from me at any time. And then when
And
it
it eventually
was, I
was.
wasn't. Yeah, and when it was okay. Cool. This is I remember Stephanie calling me and saying, "Hey, we got to take that briefcase off of you because Edge needs to do what you were going to do." Because they thought that I had torn my tricep,
Right.
and I was going to have to go get surgery, and I was going to be gone for 9 months. Which at the time in my brain, immediately I was like, "But I have a year to cash that briefcase in, so I'm only going to be gone for 9 months." I could come back but whatever. If that's what you guys want, that's what you guys want. And I didn't argue. I didn't put up a stink about it or anything like that.
Right. And even recently we've seen, Seth Rollins do the cash in with being injured. They
Mhm.
could have done something like that if they wanted to. And so you got hurt in the Great American Bash 2006. You got hurt against Batista, and you also got hurt when the tricep you're talking about in 2007. I've heard you say that it was from a clothesline from Batista as well. Did you ever hold anything against him for accidentally hurting you over those 2 times?
No, so first of all, the first one, I really wasn't injured. I just got busted open during the Batista match. I got busted open twice.
Right.
The Great American Bash match.
Mm-hmm.
First time was my fault entirely. I just, I instead of getting a hand, I just bounced my head off the steps. Instead of like putting a hand up, I just boom. And I remember I hit and I knew I'm bleeding. I'm definitely going to be bleeding after that one. And I was, got a good color for that. And then the second time, you know, we're both a little excited at that moment, that part of the match, and he gave me a little extra on the he was going to run me into the post, and I'm already putting myself there. I'm already going. So basically, he just has to pantomime, and I'll go there. But he gave me a little extra, and I just the way that I was positioned, I just could not, just do that, just so I missed the post, and I smacked that post head on. And like you
Oh,
can
that's
see,
gnarly.
I've got a pretty good zipper like
Oh, I can see
right
it.
there still
Wow.
from that. And that just opened me up. So that wasn't his fault. And then the clothesline from Batista wasn't the clothesline, it bumped. When I bumped, I felt something kind of snap. And so neither one of those occasions. And here's the thing, like I've never blamed people for injuries, like Paul London drop kicked me off the apron. I never really like blamed him for that. I hurt myself wrestling Shelton Benjamin. That wasn't Shelton's fault. It's just what we do is physical, and sometimes you're going to get a boo boo. And I
Right.
happen to get a boo boo at some unfortunate times.
Heard that. And also around that time, before it may have been after you hurt your tricep. I can't remember quite, but it was in 2007 because you would eventually come back and you had a misdiagnosis. Uh, you uh, you were in a storyline with Vince McMahon about how he was going to have an illegitimate son. And at this point, I was watching like every Monday, every Friday. Like this was like prime fandom 2007. And I remember leading up to that, was the plan going to be you versus Triple H at WrestleMania 24, and or was there not really an ending they had in mind?
I have no idea. If they did have an ending, I wasn't privy to it.
Heard
That
that.
was pretty much everything was, the only thing that I was ever given a heads up on was the illegitimate son angle.
Hmm.
He told me before we even started, before they even opened that can, that we're going to have this investigation and it's going to turn out you're going to be my son. That was all I knew. I didn't know where we were going with it, what we were going to do. At the time, and it's probably still this way, if they do have plans, WWE has to keep everything very, very close to the chest because,
Especially now. Yeah.
then there's people that like to spoil surprises and things. And I don't understand that. To me, like, I don't want somebody to tell me what the ending to what's the new Dairy, Welcome to Dairy or
Very,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't want some what happens in the last episode. I don't want to know.
Right.
Like, the fact that there are people that are actively out there trying to spoil surprises and stuff is crazy to me.
Yeah,
But
it's like let it play out, man.
but unfortunately, that leads to people being in the dark. Actors, wrestlers being in the dark. You just can't know because we don't know who it is. I remember there was a time where I was at OVW and something had happened. And by the time I got home that afternoon, like at practice, something happened. And by the time I got home, there was on one of the dirt sheets verbatim what had happened in practice. It was like, so it was somebody at OVW that was like, immediately as soon as something would happen, like,
Somebody's leaking it,
mhm.
man. So in 2009, you would make another return, and do you remember? Because you would eventually be released in 2009. Do you remember anything about like plans they might have had for you in 2009 for your return, or you don't really recall?
No, I just remember they had said that I was going into a program with it was either Randy or Batista.
Really?
Pretty sure it was Randy.
That's
I think
interesting.
it was because they had us sort of like we had some sort of interaction on the stage earlier that day during a promo.
Hmm.
Can't quite remember. It was the build up to get us to the 10-man.
The NBA tag match.
Yeah, yeah.
Heard that. So in that match, it's infamous now, where you give Randy a belly to back suplex, and
Mhm.
he gets a little too high and lands on his head. Uh, do you have any?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He didn't.
If you no, if you slow the tape down, his head never comes into contact with the mat. Like you can actually
Heard that.
see, if you watch it because of the way that he turned himself.
Hmm.
So he's actually like, you can see his body. You can see from the top of his head to his tailbone. You can see it hit the mat. He lands as flat can be, and you can actually see
Really?
if you slow it down, you can see the shadow from his neck. You can actually see the shadow so you can see that his neck never comes into contact with the mat.
Wow.
But I, I was blamed or it was said that I dropped him on his head.
Right. And where a lot of people think that was what led to your release. But you've come out and said that you've been very put it on yourself and said that that shouldn't have been the one thing that got you fired if you were doing 100% of the right things.
Yeah.
But did you ever have any animosity towards like John Cena or Randy Orton for that time period? Or
Oh yeah.
for sure?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, there was years I hated those guys.
Wow.
But then I woke up one day and realized that like me hating them doesn't do anything
Right.
They don't care. You know, the only person that it's
Yeah.
affecting is me. So they always say like, hate, what is it? Hating somebody is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Like,
Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, you seem like you're in a good place with how everything went down and as far as that went. Um,
mhm,
so the next question I got for you is so I'm in a room right now full of action figures. I'm a big action figure collector. We probably have
mhm.
thousands and thousands of wrestling action figures in here. I've actually got three Mr. Kennedys right here. I've got this one, deluxe, and then I've got another deluxe Mr. Kennedy right here. A question about this one I had: do you remember where is this fantasy gear, or did you like the half blue, half white
No,
tights?
I
Or
actually, that's something I wore. I
awesome. Okay.
I believe I wore that. So interestingly, that's a throwback to my independent gear. The first pair
Oh
of
wow.
trunks that I ever had made um, was, and they were biker shorts, but they were
Hmm.
half blue, half white, like that royal blue. And
That's
it had
cool.
my logo on it. It was that backwards K because I was Kamikaze Ken when I first started in the
Oh
independent
wow.
wrestling scene. So that wearing that was a little bit of a throwback to me. Not many people knew that, but um, yeah. But I think when I say it was like the Royal Rumble where I wrestled Batista, that could have been it. It was. I'm pretty sure I wore that gear during a match with Batista.
Okay. Good. That's good to know. I always thought I was like, where did I couldn't find any pictures or anything of that. And then I also have this one, uh, the ruthless aggression style one. This is it looks like the gear that you wore against Eddie Guerrero. That blue. They may have got the blue a little
Mm.
lighter on that one, but pretty cool stuff. Do you ever do you collect your own figures? Do you have any of them still or anything like that?
I do have some. They're not in good condition from all the moves that I've done, and I've moved the academy a
Hmm.
couple times, and it's something that I would like to get copies of every one of my. When they first came out, I would always make a point to, because here's the thing: like WWE doesn't send their talent. You don't get action figures sent to you. You have to go out and purchase them on your own. So I remember being
Really?
in
I figured
Target.
they'd send you one.
No, no.
Wow.
But I'd be in Target with an action figure or a couple of them, and then the person scanning would be like, "Is
Yeah,
that
never leave yourself on the pegs.
is that you? Is that you?" And then you are they judging me or are
Right.
they do they think it's cool? My favorite action figure that ever came out was it was a ring giant. It was like I want to say 10 foot or 10 inch
Mhm.
or 11-inch figure.
And they were the really jacked ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
it came in a series. It was I think the other people in that series were Rey Mysterio, Batista, and I don't remember who the other one was.
Wow, that's interesting. And I was gonna ask you about this. In 2019, you had like a very short stint with the NWA.
Mhm.
What was it like working with Billy Corgan and them?
So I had worked with Billy at NWA, or I'm sorry, at TNA
Right.
towards the end of my tenure there. I always loved working with Billy. We just had a great. I remember when he came in, he uh, he pulled me aside and said, "I've got your program with Bram. You know Bram, Tom
Yeah,
Latimer."
uh,
And
he's still
he
there.
just said, we're going to we've got here's the basic idea. If you guys have any other ideas, feel free to bring them to the table. It was the most collaborative effort. And it was very short lived, unfortunately, but I loved it's one of my favorite little programs that I've ever done was the one with Bram. It was only like 4 weeks though. So
Right. That's awesome
so
to
then
hear.
Yeah. So working with him again at NWA was a no brainer for me.
Right. And recently, actually, in 2025, you made your return to TNA. Uh, it was awesome to see as a fan, to see you in such a highly regarded company again. Would you ever consider going back there, or was that just a one off? Or
No, it's definitely something that I'd love to do again. And you know, I feel like it was well received. It went well, so we'll see. It's kind of up in the air right now.
heard that?
But
That's good to know that there's some possibilities there for you to come back. Would you ever consider going back to the WWE?
yeah, there was a there was a time period where I honestly, from on my kids, I would not go back to that company. I was like, I'll never work there
Hmm.
again. Um, and I didn't feel the need to like blow the bridge up entirely just because I didn't want to be seen as a whiner, like he's just whining, he's just complaining.
For sure.
Um, but I legit, I was like, I don't want to work that schedule. I don't want to work for that company. I don't want to work for that man again. So, but that's changed.
What?
I think the company's changed. It's in different hands now.
Right. What is your relationship like with Triple H?
We never really had much of a relationship when I was there. We didn't really see eye to eye. We didn't get along. I don't think he liked me. It wasn't even that we didn't get along. He just didn't like me,
Right.
and I didn't really like him. And we didn't have super positive interaction with each other. We were professional, but that was
Hmm.
about it. Um, so, however, since then we've run into each other. We've had some emails. We've talked to each other in person. Like I believe that he's a different person. I'm definitely a different person than I was back then. So
That's good to know. That's very good to know. Also in 2014, you were with TNA at the time, and you guys actually did a house show in my hometown of Batesville, Arkansas, and it was 2014, and I actually got to meet you and take a picture with you. It was awesome. I was wondering if you remember anything about going to Batesville, Arkansas.
I
Yeah, I
don't.
didn't think so. You do so many shows. I figured it was a long shot. You'd remember that one.
I
But
have I have like sometimes something will come across my timeline, a match
mhm.
that I'm involved like on my YouTube feed, and uh, there was something recently where it was like me and MVP versus Kane and Taker. And at one point, I jump in a car and I start revving the engine like I'm going to run Kane over, and I have no recollection of that occurring in real life.
Right.
Like I can see the tape, I can see the video, but I don't remember doing it. My point is that happens a lot. There's
Right.
so
Yeah, I
much
think
stuff that
the
we do.
oh yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't expect you to remember all that stuff. I think I remember you wrestled a 2 out of 3 falls match with it might have been
Mm,
Bully Ray. I think it
okay,
was Bully Ray, I want to
we
say.
did that. We did that match all the time. I like it's one of my favorite memories was doing house shows, and we would always do the 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun show to be at because we don't really in Arkansas. You don't really get to go to a lot of shows around here,
Mhm.
so that was so
Yep.
cool that y'all came there. And I remember Al Snow was actually in the crowd trying to hide, like no one was gonna know who he was, and me and my brothers were like, "That's Al Snow over there." We went over there and talked to him. That was a cool show to be at.
It's
My
funny
next
the
question for you.
layout for that match is an Al Snow special. Like
Oh,
that whole
really?
2 out of 3 falls, the way that we layered it and the way that we told the story was an idea that was given to me by Al Snow.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool. Um, my next question for you is, what was your relationship like with Chris Benoit? And yeah, what was your relationship like with Chris Benoit?
He was another, just like Eddie. Really, everybody. When I first got to the company, everybody was super warm and inviting on the SmackDown side. It was
Hmm.
like very, very helpful. Always had a piece of advice for me when I came through the curtain. And as I said earlier, I was riding with Eddie. I was riding with Eddie and Chris when Eddie passed away. So I had some some pretty good time, some pretty good experiences with Chris.
That's awesome. Um, Another question I got for you. So how's it going with your podcast? You have a podcast on YouTube called Mic Check
Yeah,
with Mr. Anderson. How's that going?
it's going. It's. I couldn't ask for a better crew. The guys that I'm working with there, Kevin and Connor. They approached me after I did a Chris Van Vliet interview. I've
Right,
I've
I've seen it.
interviewed with Chris probably half a dozen times now at this point, but that particular one, I put my number out there as I always do, and and I got a ton of text messages. And one of the messages that I got was from these guys in Scotland who were like, "Hey, here's what we can do." And it's something. Podcasting was something that I had always wanted to do. I just wanted to make sure that I was doing it right. So I believe that's what
Right.
we're doing. So we're building, and yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, you just did a collab with Maven. How was that working with Maven?
Great. We never crossed paths when we were in WWE. We just missed each other.
Hmm.
Um, but we met at a convention years ago and just connected, kind of hit it off right away. We're alike in a lot of ways. We've had some similar experiences, and so it was fantastic to he's somebody who's also experiencing a tremendous level of success right now in the
Right, he's
podcasting
killing it.
realm. And he's been super, super helpful and collaborative with my team. Super, super helpful.
That's awesome. In 2007, you had a program with Shawn Michaels.
Hmm.
That's probably if I had to pick a favorite match of yours, I'd probably say it was the one you had with Shawn Michaels at Armageddon 2007. I really liked that match. What was it like working with Shawn Michaels?
He's the best performer that I've ever worked with in the ring, the
Wow.
best wrestler. Um, just phenomenal. So easy to work with, so light. Um, his his ability, like his storytelling ability, was second to none. And I loved my matches with him. Didn't really care for him personally backstage. Like,
Heard that.
yeah, but we were able to be professional. I didn't.
Right.
I could dislike him backstage, and we'd hit the curtain, and we get to the building, and we'd be able to put our matches together, no problem. No, we weren't button heads or anything like that ever.
It's all business.
And yeah, and with you, I would say that's probably my second favorite. It's in my top five favorite matches that I've ever had.
What is your favorite match, you'd say?
Favorite match was with Kurt Angle in the
TNA?
steel cage, TNA
That
2009
is, wow.
lockdown.
That's an
And
awesome
it
one.
just like excuse me, some interesting backstory where we were told leading up to the match that we were going to have like 23 minutes to tell this
Mhm.
really, really riveting story. And on the day they told us, we're cutting you like 10 minutes.
It's just you.
Sorry about that. We're back.
Well, there we go.
Cool.
There we go.
Thanks,
All right.
man.
Sorry about that.
No
Where were
worries.
we?
We were talking about the Kurt thing. I was
Yes.
so interesting backstory on that. They had given us 23 minutes. They had told us weeks in advance that we were going to have about 23 minutes to tell this pretty riveting story. And the way Kurt operates, Kurt put that match together in his head. And we sort of talked about things a little bit here and there. And then on the day, he came up to me and he said, like, they're cutting our time by like 10, 12 minutes. They're going to cut the time.
Mm.
And he looked at me and said, we're going 23.
That's awesome.
Which in the wrestling business, if you go 30 seconds over your time, if you come back through like you go a minute over, you're coming back through, you got some explaining to do.
For sure.
To actively look, like at one point, I remember he said, like, we're just going to keep going. And when the ref tells us our times, we're just going to keep going. And at one point, Slick was our ref, and Slick was like, guys, they're screaming at me in my ear to go home. Like, you guys got to go home. And we just kept working. And then guys, like, what's going on? They're screaming at me. And Kurt goes, tell them to fuck off. Which is funny because, like, he can't tell them to fuck off because there's no two-way. So you just see Slick. Yeah. Slick, like, looked up at the camera and he went,
oh,
and
man.
We just went. And Kurt said from the jump, he was like, we're going 23. I'll take the heat. Don't worry about it. And okay, like, he's Kurt, And ultimately, Nobody gave me a hard time.
Wow.
Everybody knew that was Kurt's call, and I was just along for the ride. And the one person was AJ Styles.
Oh, yeah.
Who is like he's just like the nicest, kindest guy in the world, right? He was disappointed. He came up and he was like, I'm disappointed in you. Which is, that's worse than if he was just straight up mad. I wanted to fight me. Like, I would rather have that.
Yeah, you don't want to hear someone say they're disappointed in you. It's worse than that, for sure.
Yeah. And it was like, because ultimately it was a pay-per-view, so times were very limited because we had to be off the air at a certain time. So ultimately, AJ got cut like 10 minutes.
Man.
His time, and he was working Ric Flair, and that his time got significantly reduced because of. But again, he told me, he goes, I know it's Kurt. I know he said to do that, but God damn it. Like,
pissed him off a little bit.
He didn't say God damn it because he doesn't use that term, but
right. Was Bruce Pritchard working with TNA at the time, or?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard that. So you said you didn't like Shawn Michaels backstage personally. Was there anything that he did, like, specifically that made you feel that way, or?
Yeah, he was just always. I remember specifically one time we were in the ring and we had a 3-segment match. I just told this recently on my podcast, I think. I had him in so when we're doing 3-segment matches, you have to actually wrestle through commercials. So you're in the house when they go to commercial. When it's a live show, you have like 3 or 3.5 minutes for commercial breaks. So you have to continue wrestling there for the house. You can't just like take a break, step off to the side. Although I guess they did it during COVID, right? And got caught doing it. Where was I? So we're in commercial break, and I've got him in a hold on the ground, and I have my legs wrapped around his waist, and I'm like, I was taking my fingers and like lightly, gently. I wasn't actually like and he had a conniption like, "Get your hands out of my face! Breathe out of my face!"
Oh my god.
He got super hot, and I remember like, "Fuck, okay." And then we came out of break, and as we come back from commercial, he's giving me some elbows to the stomach,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm selling it. And as I was selling, my gum popped out and landed right here on his hair.
Oh man.
And I remember looking at it and going like, if I go slow, it's gonna fucking pull. So I just went and I grabbed it quickly, and it looks like I pull out like a big tuft of his hair.
Yeah.
King was on commentary. King even said something about it. "Oh my god, looks like he ripped out his hair."
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
we had words. We had words backstage after that one. Yeah, he was like, "Do you want to fight me for real?" And I was like, "No, but we can if you would like."
Right.
And then he just kind of like, oh, then he calmed down.
Yeah, and
So
with the stories that I've heard about Shawn Michaels getting into fights, he's not very heavily favored, from what I've heard.
yeah, I
It's
feel
like,
like I would have been okay in that situation.
yeah, I think so too. What is your relationship like with Shawn now? And could you ever see yourself showing up in NXT, even if it's a part of the TNA crossover?
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen each other since. We're okay. We're fine.
That's good.
He probably doesn't even remember, that little whatever we had back then,
Right.
And if he does, I'm sure he feels sort of the same way that I do. Like he was a different person back then. I was a different person back then. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I did actually. I attended NXT. Came to This was when Drew McIntyre was still with NXT, so it was quite a while ago.
Heard that.
But they came through the Twin Cities. They came through Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I went and I talked to him backstage. It was fine.
That's awesome. So in 2020, you went backstage for a Raw, I believe. Did you were you going there for anything other than just enjoying the show, or?
Just to check in, see some friends. I've still got friends that work there.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I happened to bump into Orton when we didn't speak about the incident,
Mm-hmm.
but we had a 45-minute conversation and it
Oh wow.
was fine. I'd like to sit down with him at some point and just clear the air, I guess.
Clear the air for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I've seen some things pop up recently about so like I was watching Cafe de Rene Dupree's podcast, and he
Yeah.
had Paul London on there, and he said some choice words about you. I was wondering
Mhm.
what your relationship's like with him, and if you guys cleared the air at all, or
So I didn't. I haven't spoken to Paul. I would like to. I know that Paul had Paul at one point, this was my first overseas tour, drop kicked me off the apron.
Mhm.
He like leg pressed me into the 17th row. Like I remember like I knew that I tore something, and I was getting a huge monster push when I first got into the WWE, and this it just brought it to a screeching halt. I ended up having surgery, was out for 10 months. And but I never said anything. I never said anything to the office. Never complained about it. Like again, sometimes wrestling hurts. Sometimes you're gonna get injured.
Mhm.
This is just one of those cases. And then years later, I heard Paul do an interview, and he said that I was the stiffest person that he'd ever worked, and I was like, me?
Yeah.
What the fuck, me? And so then I just I couldn't believe my ears, but whatever. Like I don't let stuff like that bother me. You know, like not everybody's gonna like you. At the end of the
For
day,
sure.
I really don't care. Like the people who know me, and the people who don't, whatever. But then I was watching my old stuff with my wife,
Hmm.
who had never seen me wrestle before. She had never seen my body of work in WWE. So we were like, let's go on that rabbit hole. So I started match one the first time that I debuted on SmackDown against Funaki, and we
Hmm.
started going week by week. And there was a match that I had with Paul London, and in it you can see that I am being really, really stiff with him, like to the point where at one point you can see him like just kind of shake his head, like what the fuck.
Hmm.
I hit him with a forearm or something like that, and then it just like this memory came flooding back to. I remember the producer that day coming up to me and saying like, the boss wants you to lay your stuff in on this guy tonight. Like, and it was almost like it was a test of, I don't know if it was a test of my loyalty or if Vince liked when there was tension backstage. So I don't know if it
Hmm.
was intentional, like he knew that there was going to be some bad blood between us. And
It's
so, but
interesting for sure.
so then it made the drop kick. Oh, I get it now. The drop kick was a receipt for me stiffing the shit out of him.
Oh wow.
So definitely something that we never talked about, but I would love to talk to him. I would love to talk about it.
Yeah, maybe he could show up on your podcast, a mic check.
Yeah.
The academy, the wrestling school. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we train we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We
Hmm.
train 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And tuition covers 1 year of training. So we have a 1 year. I recommend that people wrestle for at least 1 year. And that's just to start. It's $3,500 for 1 year of training. And
Hmm.
then after that year, if you want to stick around, which I encourage people to do, it's a monthly gym membership. It's $100 a month. If you're a graduate, it's $50 a month. So
Wow.
we have people that have been with us since 2016 when we opened. Our first graduate is Darius Martin, who's on
He's
AEW
incredible.
television. He still comes weekly. Well, actually, he lives in Vegas now, but he still comes back pretty frequently. We've got people from that very first class that still work, still help me with coaching. So
That's
it's just
awesome.
and we just try to cover everything. Like for me, I'm not trying to get, it's a business. I have to make money at it. I have to pay my bills.
Of
So I'm not
course.
trying to get rich. I'm not trying to just take people's money. I want to help people do the same stuff. I've had a pretty good run. If it
Oh
all
yeah.
ended tomorrow, like I'm pretty happy with the things that I've done in this business. And I've had some amazing experiences, met some extraordinary people, and I want to help as many people do that as possible. So
That's really great. And we've seen some incredible wrestlers come through there, like Tiffany Stratton and Top Flight, Darius and Dante Martin, and some others I'm sure I'm missing, but that's really
yeah,
great. You're passing along that knowledge.
Julia
So
Hart.
we're getting close to time here, but I've got a little segment I was going to do here. I'm gonna say 5 names, and I want you to give me a one-word response for these people,
Oh
uh,
boy,
if you can. So the first one I'll say is Arn Anderson.
dad.
The next one I'll go with is Randy Orton.
Does it have to be one word, or can it be
It doesn't
I
have
would
to
say
be.
the best.
Heard that. Let's go with Vince McMahon.
Fucking insane.
I'd have to agree with you there. Then we'll go with Triple H.
Uh, hmm. uh, Boy, one word. I, uh, I don't know. Help me out here.
It doesn't have to be necessarily one word.
Calculated.
There you go. And then the last one, John Cena.
Dick.
Wow, heard that. Um, all right. Is there any plugs you want to put into the video that you want to have people see your content or anything of that nature?
Yes, absolutely. I'm still actively wrestling. This weekend I'm wrestling for the Clowns, wrestling for JCW in
Oh,
Detroit.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, I've
I've
been
got
seeing
some
Vito and stuff go over there. That's really cool.
I've got some more upcoming shows for them. You'll see a lot more of that. Um, I'll be at WrestleCade here in 2 weeks. Um, like I said, I'm still actively wrestling. I'm still taking bookings for interviews like this, seminars, signings. So you can contact me. You can follow me on all my social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. I'm on Facebook. Mr. Ken Anderson on all of those. And please follow my podcast. Check out Mike Check with Mr. Anderson on YouTube. It's on Stitcher, anywhere that you can basically get your podcast from. It's there. And please give me a call, or don't call me. Text me. Text me 507-722-2776. If you are in the Twin Cities area and want to get into the wrestling business, I'd love to help you.
Awesome. Well, Ken, thank you so much for coming on here. I was really looking forward to it, and it's really a dream come true to get to interview you. It's crazy. I'm really glad you came on, and maybe we'll do this again some other time.
Yep.
Looking forward to it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chandler. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. That'll be the end of it. Thank you guys for watching Championship Sports Blog. Make sure to follow and like and subscribe. Thank you very much.